And just like that, we're back. Welcome to the Fox 5 Live Zone. I'm your host, Guy Lambert. Boy, do we have a power-packed show lined up for you today. 20 years. It's been 20 years since Hurricane Katrina wreaked havoc. We're going to be joined by a woman who will share her amazing story of survival in just a minute. Hey, the holiday weekend is in full swing. You see the smile on my face? You can tell it's already wearing on me. I am so ready to enjoy it. But not only that, well, ready to watch a lot of things. Producer Chris going to join us with what to watch. But first, from backpacking through Central America to building a family brand from scratch right in Texas. Oh, I love that state of Texas. Kelly and Cody Workman of Positravelty are one of the social media's most captivating couples. Their audience spans millions across Instagram, TikTok. Oh, by the way, can't forget about YouTube. Now with the toddler in tow and another baby due in December, they're turning the page to, well, a new, more grounded chapter. Through cinematic visuals and heartfelt storytelling, the duo has made a name for themselves, capturing love, travel, and adventure. But don't let me tell it. They join me now right here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. And with that, we welcome Kelly and Cody Workman. Hey, guys, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having
Here,
us.
let me get Kelly in here real quick.
Hey,
There
it's kind of hard to do, fit two people in. Believe you me, it's hard to just fit me in this one camera right here. I absolutely love your story. You know what I love most is the whole proposal thing. Dude, that was amazing. To literally propose underwater, I don't think anyone could ever top that.
Oh, thank you. That was just kind of a spur of the moment thing, and it just felt right. It made sense for our story and how everything was going. So yeah, it was a really, really fun proposal to do. That's
And very unexpected.
Yeah, well, thanks for making it hard for guys like me that have yet to propose, and now I got to come up with something very close to that.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
But yet again, you all have just taken a good thing and really made it great. I'm referring to the Positravelty, which has really evolved into, let's see, ebooks, custom photos, tools, mobile presence. I mean, I could just go on and on. But to know that it just started from the bottom, as Drake would say, started from the bottom, now we're here. And boy, are you here
Yeah.
in a major way.
I'm sorry, ask the question again.
And boy, are you here in a major way. How did it all come to be? How were you able to grow it so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, just with time, I mean, everything kind of came, one little thing at a time, and we just allowed the business to grow organically and just followed kind of how we felt like things were moving forward, and it just turned into a lot of different things.
Yeah. But not only that, but if you think of social media, so many times with regard to relationships, so much negativity comes out of all of that. But with you all, you've really been able to build so much positivity. And not only that, but so many couples look up to you now saying, you know what, I want to be just like them.
Honestly, I think it's good for us to just be our authentic selves. We do have a really good relationship that we're very proud of.
Yeah.
And of course, we do get negativity too. Don't be fooled. But that's something that we just choose not to focus on and ignore, and we just keep going.
Yeah, and going in a major way. All right, so I'm thinking of your morning routines, your toddler, by the way, that we just got a chance to see a minute ago. I guess we really can't call him a toddler, but, stunning home renovation projects, packing hacks for family travel. Out of all of that, what do you love the most?
Well, that's a good question. The style of content that we've done, the things that we focus on have changed so much with time. I think for me right now, focusing on like the family stuff, I really do enjoy. What about you?
Me too. And home projects, because this is actually the first real home that we have had since we met, which was 8 years ago. So it's been so nice to just be settled somewhere and not living out of a backpack and everything. So I've really enjoyed doing little projects around the home and making our home feel like a home.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to lie. We've all loved watching you travel from home to home or destination to destination. So it kind of stinks for you, but it was great for us. We absolutely loved it. You all are known as, I would say, go-getters. And with that being said, it's not easy, but you took calculated risks. Is that something that you plan on teaching your children as well?
Oh, 100%. The only reason, we are where we are right now is because we both, independently of each other, took a step aside from, the starting of the life that we were building and said, I want to pursue something else. I want to take a chance on myself and believe in myself to do something different and maybe something bigger, maybe something, that's the same, but just something different. And yeah, it really worked out. We would have never met each other probably had we not done that because we met abroad.
We wouldn't have.
And then, continued to travel together. So yeah, definitely. I would love for both of our children, the second one being on the way right now, to certainly never hesitate to bet on themselves.
Yeah, congratulations yet again, guys. I know it has to be a
Thank
really
you.
exciting
Thank you.
time for the both of you all. I want you to reflect on the relationship, if you will, one more time. And I want you to realize that when the both of you all look in the mirror, you got to realize that, yet again, there's so many folks looking at you saying, I want to be just like them. And so as a result, any advice that you would give couples that, well, perhaps are struggling or perhaps just trying to find their way?
I think we have a really good balance of we I don't want to say that we don't argue or get in disputes because we certainly do, just like every other couple out
It's
there.
part of a relationship.
But we make it a point to not fight. And I think there's a big difference between those.
Yeah.
And we just always respect each other. We talk. That is very, very important to just, you need to tell each other what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's going to argue, right? It's just about how you do it. So as long as you never take a step back from like remembering how much you care for and love that person, then that really dictates the way that like disagreements can go, and it can make them really be nothing instead of being something like, not so great. So yeah.
Yeah, it's all about communication, communication being key. And I would argue it's also about who controls the thermostat. And so I'm curious, within your home, who's in charge of the thermostat?
Definitely me.
Definitely her. I have no say.
And it's funny because now that I'm pregnant, my hormones are everywhere and I'm hot one second and then I'm cold the next second. It always revolves around how I'm feeling.
We've all heard the
Yes, I
term
can.
happy wife, happy life. In this case, happy wife, if she controls the thermostat, then everything is great.
So true.
Hey,
So true.
we'll wrap up with this, and that is, what can we expect from, I was going to say the both of you, but one, two, three, all four of you all, sometime in the
Mhm.
near future?
We have some trips coming up. We have some family-based travel that we're going to be sharing here coming up soon, as well as just sharing the whole story about the baby number two, and even more home projects as well. We've got a couple of things like in the works that we're preparing to do.
I'm trying to get everything done before baby number two comes.
Yeah.
But then, of course, we're very excited to share the birth and the postpartum period. All of that is just, it's very relatable. And I look forward to sharing that with our audience.
Yeah, and you do it all so well. Yet again, I absolutely love your content. It's so engaging, and I found myself just sitting there watching it over and over again. Yet again, that engagement thing, man, it just threw me for a loop.
Hey,
Folks at home, if you haven't seen
I
it,
really
Google
appreciate
it.
it.
Yet
Yeah.
again,
And if you are in Texas, since you love the state so much, let us know.
will
There's a
do.
lot of good food here.
Oh yeah.
Yet again, we've been speaking with Kelly and Cody Workman. Guys, congratulations, continued success going out to you, and thank you so much for joining us right here on the Live Zone.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
having
much.
us.
You bet. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. Hey, on the flip side of that break, 20 years. Yes, it's been 20 years since Hurricane Katrina. We'll discuss that next and so much more right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, today marks the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, making landfall on the U.S. Gulf Coast on August 29th, back in 2005. Katrina remains one of the most devastating natural disasters in U.S. history, killing, get this, over 1,800 people. Most of those deaths were in New Orleans, in low-lying areas like the lower 9th Ward. My next guest has vivid memories of that day, that blow after blow we saw Hurricane Katrina wreak havoc. I'm referring to none other than Trezell Regis. You were just 12 years old when Katrina struck. She and her family lost everything. They lived in a church for months and, well, quite honestly, rebuilt their lives right here in the nation's capital. Don't let me tell it. She joins us to do just that. Trezell, good to see you and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Guy.
I got to tell you, it's hard to believe it's been 20 years. I was based in Houston, Texas during that time, and as you know, Trezell, a lot of folks were evacuated to Houston. I remember going down to the, what was that, the Astrodome, I believe, or whatever the dome it was called at the time, and folks were trying to make just do and live in filth and what have you. That was my experience, and I want to hear yours because for me to imagine, to fathom that I would just have to literally pick up my family and go to never return is something hard for me to believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And you hit it right on the head, right? Exactly. So my family at the time I was 12, we're a big family. My mom is the oldest of 11, right? My father is one of four. And so it was about 15 of us who traveled together trying to get out of the storm's way. And the thing is, down in Louisiana, everyone was waiting to the last minute. Now, for us, hurricanes, it's kind of normal. Sometimes we look at it as like a quick getaway, a quick vacation. So everyone has emergency funds for a storm, but no one could have imagined what Hurricane Katrina would have brought to us. And so my family, really the day before the storm hit, we get in a car, we're all traveling out, car behind one another, and we hit dead on traffic. So we couldn't even make it to Texas. Honestly, we made it about 3 hours past New Orleans to Lafayette, Louisiana. And just like the dome you spoke of in Texas, we made it to the Cajun Dome because every hotel, every motel were rented out. And so we landed at the Cajun Dome and we had to stay there for a week before, shout out to Trinity Bible Church. They took all 15 of us in, gave us a room within the church where my family was able to stay in place for 2 months after that 1 week.
Yeah, God, just thinking back to it, I don't know if I made mention, but I was in New Orleans the day before Katrina. I attended the Saints played, and that was my first time seeing the Saints play. It was, I believe, a Friday night. Saturday morning, we were supposed to play a golf tournament. I remember waking up, and to your point, everybody was evacuating. What I don't think people understand, Trezell, and I think you saw it as well, but it's one thing to evacuate and get in a car and see traffic, but I remember, to your point, car after car after car. People were running out of gas. I remember seeing moms on the side of the road changing diapers of babies, and they were stuck there because they couldn't leave. You remember the plastic bags over the gas handles, if you will, just saying that, hey, gas is out. People fighting over gas. And you, at that time, you only happen to be 12 years old. What is that like for a 12-year-old mind?
And you know what? This is what I'll say. I'm fortunate in the family that I come from, right? My family, we're strong, we're solid, we stick together. My parents at the time, again, I'm looking at it as, and my parents are selling it to me as, oh, just another quick getaway, 3-4 days, we'll be back. And so at the time, I'm like, oh, this is exciting. Boy, oh boy, when we got to the Cajun Dome, I realized that it wasn't so exciting because in the past, to my point, we've, been able to stay in a pretty comfy hotel. That was not the case. We're talking about lines wrapped around for miles of families trying to get in the Cajun Dome before the storm comes. Because, the day before a storm, the weather is beautiful, the calm before the storm, that's what we say. But trying to get in, trying to secure a space, in the Cajun Dome, we're talking about families, just thousands of people all on one floor. And so it was just nothing I had experienced, but I'm grateful for the family that I come from. And what I will say is that that young, innocent mind, I just had no idea what my parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles were dealing with to make sure that we were safe, given this is all we have right now. We have to make the best of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, gosh, it's just horrific. Just thinking back to what everyone experienced that day. One of the things that I remember also was, as you heard me state, is that cars were running out of gas. And I said to myself, preparation is key, right? But in this case, I'm referring to the U.S. government. I don't necessarily know if they were prepared to deal with something like that. And I would argue that perhaps you also feel the same way and, well, maybe even lost faith in government.
Yes, exactly. That is the case. And I did not have much faith in how they handled it. And to say so much so that I didn't want to have anything to do with government, anything to do with the police. It just didn't feel like a safety net for us. Even insurance companies, just how they were treating people who are just trying to make it, right? Families with kids just trying to make the best of the situation. So I lost faith. And so it wasn't until coming to Washington, D.C., and starting a business and interacting with Mayor Muriel Bowser and her administration, I said, oh my goodness, this is what government is supposed to look like. This is how you do it right. And so I now seen it from trying to survive a tragedy and how local government handled a matter. And again, they probably were doing the best that they could as well. This was one of the deadliest storms to date. So I just don't think anyone was really prepared for it. And so I just will say that now what I do with my business, I have a business, Regis Consulting. We pour into the youth workforce development, providing programming to keep kids out of harm's way, to keep them on the right trajectory to success. And DC is a blueprint. I will say I talk to my family all the time about this. I think we have a lot that we can take back from DC to Louisiana in just how to prepare for any kind of circumstance and how to be there for the people when they need it most.
Yeah, well, not only can you take it back to Louisiana, but I'm pretty sure you can share with my audience and all of us that you have experienced something that many of us have never experienced, and that is being uprooted from your home. Can you talk about how it made your family, the entire family unit, so much tighter?
Yeah, definitely. And at the end of the day, we lost every material possession that we had. But I will say that we had what matters most, which is each other. And so to my parents, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, to my brothers, to all of us, I'm just grateful that I was born. I know we can't pick our families, but I'm so grateful that I was born into the one that I was born into, because we really showed up for one another, and the unit is still strong. And it's a tragedy and a traumatic situation that we went through, but we went through it together, and I'm grateful to God for that.
Yeah, it was a hurricane. It was dark, it was cloudy, it was windy, it was horrible, but because of your story and what you're sharing, I would say it's nothing but pure sunshine, and it's true love. And we're so glad that you were able to join us yet again right here on the Live Zone. We've been speaking with Trezell Regis, 12 years old, wow, when Hurricane Katrina struck some 20 years ago. Truly appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. All right, folks, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, today we're diving into the world of fashion. However, with the twist. You see, this fashion is all things support for our troops. I'm referring to Volition America, an apparel brand that merges purpose in American fashion to unite our nation in support troops and first responders through the Folds of Honor Foundation. Joining us to discuss this and so much more during this Labor Day weekend is the founder, John Sapienti, joining us right here on the Live Zone. John, good to see you, sir, and welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
But of course, sir, you know, it's interesting. You have been dubbed a very unusual CEO. And what do I mean by that? Well, that's because you have mastered, sir, the ability to, well, let's say, pair business with philanthropy. Do tell.
Yeah, I got involved in a charity about 10, 12 years ago called Folds of Honor, which is a scholarships of fallen soldiers and first responders. And the founder of the charity had an idea to start a brand called Volition America, choosing America to unite our country and give back. So I really got involved as more of a donor that was helping the charity. And then I kind of used my business acumen to kind of help grow the brand and build it to what it is today.
Yeah, and you do it also well. Not only that, but you all are giving back in a major way, donating some 13% of all the profits, as you stated, to Folds of Honor. What does that mean to you to know that you're really making a change and making a difference?
It's incredibly humbling. I tell people this all the time. I have a couple other businesses that I operate, and it's, you know, when you have success at your businesses, you kind of have a little bit of an ego to it. And what I'm doing with this brand is I'm educating people to come together, make better choices, unite our country, and giving back. As you said, we're giving 13% of profits. But it's incredibly humbling to be able to be, you know, like I'm today and be the face of the brand and be able to try to help our country and give back to those that gave us the life to do what we want to do. I can't even tell you how I'm honored, I'm blessed, I'm humbled to do the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I'm honored and blessed to be an American and know that I have folks that are, both of us have folks that are waking up day in and day out, making sure we maintain our freedom. Not only that, but I would say high five going out to you, sir, because as a result of Volition America, well, we know that life-changing scholarships to spouses and children of Americans fallen and or disabled military are now being given. Yet again, that's going to put a smile on your face.
Yeah, the charity that, you know, Folds of Honor, the charity that I got involved in, they've given $300 million away, 60,000 scholarships, 91 cents on the dollar goes to the recipient. So they're changing lives in a big way. And what we're doing with this brand is we're partnering with big brands like Puma and Cobra and Bose, Gurkha, Unreal. And what they're doing with these collabs is they're putting our emblem, which is the Folds of Honor folded flag with wings on it, but we're really bringing a lot of awareness and making products that people can say, this is what I stand for, and I want to give back every time I purchase something.
Yeah. And so I'm curious, what happens to be your favorite? I always love to ask that question, and I would assume you're probably going to say everything with regard to the apparel.
Yeah, I got to be neutral, right? And say everything. But, you know, I'm a golfer, and so I love wearing my red, white, and blue and Volition clothes when I'm playing golf. But funny story was when I golf, I love smoking a cigar. And I went into a country club and saw someone throw a flag on a cigar. And it kind of dawned on me to say, well, why wouldn't we make a Volition America cigar? So when you buy something, not only you celebrating country, but you're giving back. And we have a partnership with Gurkha Cigar, who came out with the Volition America cigars. So we have the idea of the brand is we give you a uniform for life. So no matter what you're doing, whether you're golfing, whether you're fishing, working out, playing tennis, smoking a cigar, you can go in your closet and grab something and put it on and say, this is what I stand for.
Yeah, they say the proof is in the pudding, and so the pudding in this case being the response of the people. What are they saying, sir?
Well, we're growing every day. We're growing very rapidly. More brands are coming on to, we call it a brand coalition, where we're bringing these audiences together. But I'd say we're getting 35 or 40% return customers, which I think really says a lot about the brand, is as we bring awareness and people buy it, they really like it. And, you know, the stuff we're making, not only are we partnering with brands they want, we're also bringing out products that are really high quality. So people will be proud of what we're giving them.
Yeah, and yet again, you do it all so well. Folks that want to find out more information, or they want to be like me and get their hands on it ASAP, how would one go about to do so?
Come to volitionamerica.com, check out our stuff. And I would love to have you join the Volition America movement.
Very good, sir. Thank you so much for what you're doing. It's really making a difference. And it's a feel-good story that really needs to be told, and more people need to know about it. And that's what we're here to do. Yet again, we've been speaking with John Sapienti. He is the founder of Volition America, and kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Truly appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir. All right,
Thank you.
guys. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. We are 1 minute away from the top of the hour, taking a live look at the White House where, well, it looks like we got partly cloudy skies for today. It's going to be picture perfect, if you ask me. We're going to top out in the mid to upper 70s. Caesar will join us momentarily to get you that complete forecast. Well, switching gears to politics, Democratic governors are criticizing the Trump administration's efforts to deploy National Guard troops in major cities. Meanwhile, lawyers for Kilmar Abrego Garcia want a gag order on top Trump administration officials. Joining us to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Josh McLaurin. He is a Georgia state senator, federal litigation attorney, and Democratic strategist, yet again kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Josh, good to see you, sir, and welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. I'm very glad to be here today.
And we're glad to have you. Let's jump right into it because, boy, do we have a lot to talk about. We'll begin with the number of Democratic governors who, as you heard me just make mention, are now criticizing the Trump administration's efforts to deploy the National Guard in major cities. In a joint statement yesterday, count them, 19, yes, 19 governors called the efforts an alarming abuse of power. They say instead of addressing crime, President Trump has cut funding for law enforcement and undermined the authority of governors over their state's National Guards. What say you, sir?
Well, I mean, this is America, right? This is a federalist system, and we believe in state sovereignty to a degree, right? The federal government has its own limited jurisdiction, and states have the police power. It's literally called the police power. I went to law school, and that just means states are really responsible for most of life as we know it every day. You know, education, healthcare, law enforcement on the ground. That's a state level and a county level issue. And to bring in DC, for example, is kind of the trial balloon for what Trump is trying to do with all this, right? National Guard from all over, military forces. I mean, we saw federal military forces deployed out in California. And I got to say, a lot of this seems like it's for show. I mean, if you look at the mandates of these organizations, right, the National Guard, usually they're supposed to respond to disasters or, you know, if we actually had a real military threat. But to be doing paperwork in Washington, D.C. and rolling some Humvees around, I mean, it very much smacks of the military parade that we saw for President's birthday, right, which is expensive, a lot for show, and not really doing a whole lot on the ground to actually change the circumstances of whether there's crime or not. I mean, as we know, the crime data has shown the last few years since COVID, violent crimes have gone down, property crimes have gone down, and this is kind of everywhere. And so, look, I'm a state senator in Georgia. When you have Republican state senators who want to run on law and order, it makes it harder for them to do that when crime is actually going down.
Yeah.
But they do it anyway, right? And that's kind of the same, I think, pageantry that we're seeing right now.
Well, Josh, I'm thinking about the Illinois governor who now stated in so many terms that he does not want the National Guard actually within his state. President Trump then stating that, hey, you know what? I think that I'll do it if you invite me to do so. Many are stating that because he used that rhetoric, he is admitting in so many words that he does not have the power to do just that.
Well, I think that it's important anytime the federal government's trying to overreach, which, by the way, I voted for Obama a couple times. I'm a Democrat. I remember all the criticism that President Obama got for, alleged federal overreach. People were worried that he was making these youth camps that were paramilitary forces and, oh, he's going to militarize FEMA and all this, crazy stuff at the time. And wow, I mean, turnabout, the tables have truly turned because now we're talking about Trump with this desire to put federal troops in all these American cities on American soil, policing American citizens. So yeah, I think it's a pretty big deal when the governor of Illinois says, look, we're a sovereign state. We've got stuff under control. We don't need your help. We're not going to ask for it unless we really need it. And I think it's a positive step that we see the rhetoric of President Trump at least recognizing some minimum level of state sovereignty. It's really important that he recognize that, because if he doesn't, then I got to say, a lot of that stuff I heard during the Obama era, I'm kind of wondering how we got here.
I think we'll all have to continue to ponder on just that. Well, it's official, sir. The U.S. tariff exemption for low-cost goods from other countries is now over. It's the nearly century-old exemption which allowed items worth less than $800 to be shipped to America duty-free or without having to pay any tariffs. Japan, India, and many European nations already announced suspensions of U.S.-bound shipments. Is this yet again the makings of another tariff war?
Here's the thing. Here's the big problem. We don't know. It's the uncertainty that's the problem, right? So like one of the things the Trump administration's done with tariffs over the last few months is they'll announce something. It's a huge headline, really, really bad. Oh my God, it's over 100% tariffs on China or something like that. And then they'll hear the feedback. They'll sort of test it out, like put the finger up to the wind and then see, oh, okay, people don't like that. So we got to roll that back, right? And then what they'll do is claim, hey, we made it better because we dropped that number down to a less aggressive percentage, golf claps, right? That's not how to do business. Let me tell you something about how small business owners make decisions. They have to look at the international environment, the tariff picture, the tax picture. Any business owner watching this knows what I'm talking about before they can make orders overseas for all the inputs that go into their business. And so it may be that, today some tariff is like 20%, but what if tomorrow it's 50 or 100? In that type of an environment, it makes it impossible to plan. And so I think, the focus that I want people to be thinking about when we're thinking about how to help small businesses and keep the economy stable and running and growing and avoiding a recession is we have to create a predictable environment for small businesses. We can't just be whiplashing back and forth based on whatever, Trump is trying to do that given day, whether he's mad at Brazil or now the Eye of Sauron moves and it's looking at South Korea. And so that becomes his new obsession. That's very fickle. Right. And so I think, look, we hear the word unprecedented a lot during the Trump administration.
Sure.
And look, it makes for good TV, everything he does. But when it comes to daily life, small businesses planning, what we need is for that predictable business environment to come back and at least make decisions rationally. Like with the tariffs, let's not just retaliate against countries because Trump, one guy, is mad at them. Let's be specific. I'll give you one quick story here.
Please do.
I talked to a labor representative about tariffs because listen, I want to be fair. Here we are, we're trying to do the news. We don't want to be too partisan about it, right? We want to be as fair as we possibly can. There are some parts of the labor movement, like unions, that would want limited tariffs in very specific circumstances, right? So you can imagine, I heard like candle makers, for example. The U.S. doesn't have the capacity to make candles in the same way that other countries do. So if we were smart about helping out the candle makers, one thing we might do is a very specific targeted tariff, to give those industries the ability to set up shop here. And that's the thing you hear J.D. Vance and Trump always talk about is, well, we need to set up industry in the United States, but not like this. You don't set up industries with broad sweeping tariffs that just attack countries based on grievance and grudges, as opposed to working with labor leaders, working with corporations on the ground to find those specific places where that trade policy might make sense. And so I think it's like one of the things I want to say that to cut through the bipartisanship on this is you can imagine a world where tariffs would be good for U.S. industry if they were done smartly and if they weren't driven by the ego of one guy in the White House.
Yeah, you made mention of candle makers. That will have to continue to be debated with regard to tariffs. One thing I can tell you is that vanilla happens to be the best, smell-wise.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to debate
It's
that at
America.
all,
You're
sir.
entitled to your opinion, man.
Let's move on to your home state of Georgia. In this case, a former public health official who resigned after the White House fired the director of the CDC, now raising concerns about the future of the agency. The former CDC chief medical officer resigned alongside some of her colleagues, saying she reached a tipping point. She wants the U.S. and says that the U.S. should also know that, well, it's not prepared for any serious outbreaks, saying the government doesn't have enough resources to prevent chronic diseases. Your response to this, Josh?
I don't want to mince words on this. This is bonkers. What we are going through right now on public health in this country is bonkers because we've got a vaccine denialist who is the Secretary of Health and Human Services, who is basically imposing his personal ideological agenda on the world's preeminent public health agency, the Center for Disease Control. Now, listen, I know a lot about this because I represent part of Atlanta in my Senate district in Georgia. I was at the protest yesterday by CDC employees, hundreds of whom walked out because their leaders were being unceremoniously shown the door. You've got public health experts and scientists who are just trying to follow the same science they've been following for decades, the same science that has made us the world leader in this space post-World War II, and has contributed to our world leadership overall in so many ways. But there's a story that I don't know that has been covered enough in national news recently, which is the shooting that happened at CDC headquarters, okay? We're not just having, debates about firing people. Hundreds of people were fired just a week ago from the CDC, 600 permanent firings. There was more than 1,000, I think, before that earlier in the year. It's not just the gutting of the staff, it's the physical threats of violence that are happening to public health employees in Atlanta and elsewhere because of misinformation and disinformation about vaccines in particular, actually. The shooter here actually killed a police officer tragically. He was the one who lost his life in this incident. But in that same incident a few weeks ago, hundreds of bullets were shot at CDC headquarters. I went yesterday with my own iPhone. I took a picture of the side of the building. You can see visibly the bullet holes from the street hundreds of yards away that are still in the windows because this guy who then was killed as part of that incident wanted to take matters into his own hands with guns and try to terrorize the employees. And what I'm told by employees on the ground yesterday is, they haven't even put in a clear plan to replace those windows yet. So if you're a CDC employee, you're trying to serve your country, you're a federal employee, you're going to work every day, you're trying to keep Americans safe from all kinds of public health problems. They're the ones who make sure Ebola doesn't come to our shores. They're the ones who make sure that kids don't get measles in highly predictable outbreaks that we're now seeing now, but we're not tracking publicly because of the denial around measles and the vaccine. Those are the public employees we're talking about, just trying to do their jobs in a nonpartisan way, and they're getting shot at for it because of the misinformation at the highest level. So what I would say is, as an Atlantan, I am shook by the trauma that my colleagues, my friends in Atlanta are experiencing. I think that it's a total disgrace and an abdication of responsibility by the highest levels of government that we are not treating the CDC with more respect and more support. And in fact, what seems to be the case is RFK is kind of waging war on the agency. But those leadership, after they got fired yesterday morning, they came back, they joined the employees, rousing applause. The employees gave them flowers. I mean, these leaders are heroes to the CDC employees because they stand for standing up for science, standing up for truth in the face of a political attack.
Josh, we'll end with the other big story of the day, and that happens to surround former Vice President Kamala Harris. We know late yesterday, President Trump revoked her Secret Service protection. As a former vice president, Harris received 6 months of protection after leaving office. However, her protection had been extended for an additional year via a directive signed by then President Biden shortly before leaving office. That is the order Trump now canceled. Your response, sir?
Yeah, my response is that it feels like protection and for us and not for you. It feels like that now that Trump and Vance have the spoils of victory, they're enjoying things like the Air Force Two, that JD went and pointed at, before he was vice president, say, I think I want this plane, right? So, we're looking at something that some scholars are calling competitive authoritarianism, right? It's not full-on authoritarianism, but it's basically a competing force within a democracy. The democracy is still there. but you've got a competing force by a would-be authoritarian who's trying to pull as many strings as possible to have favorable treatment for his in-group and disfavorable treatment for his out-group. And so you'll hear these guys sing a song all day about like, oh, well, you know, we shouldn't have to do Secret Service protection, taxpayers, blah, blah, blah. This is about political targeting, plain and simple. It's about the fact that, you know, Kamala lost and they want to remind her that she lost. And there's a little element here of making sure that people are a little afraid of their own shadow, right? You know, John Bolton, right? He got his house raided by the FBI. He's a political opponent of this administration. You know, guys like him have had their protection pulled before Kamala Harris's protection was pulled. So let's not, you know, mistake what's really happening here. This is a categorical, systematic attempt, one by one, to make sure that political opponents of the administration don't feel quite as safe, you know, feel like they're on the outs, don't have the trappings of status that they once enjoyed. And look, God forbid that something terrible happen to anybody whose protection is pulled. But I think, you know, let's keep a lookout for what this administration will do in terms of threats of physical violence. You know, the top level leaders are never going to call that guy up who shot the CDC and say, go shoot it up. But if they do enough disinformation, if they sow enough distrust and division and make people feel like their neighbors are their enemies, then somebody else is going to take matters into their own hands. And people at the very top will say, well, that's not us. We didn't do that. But that's called stochastic terrorism. There's a word for that. And it means, you know, in creating the conditions where somebody can do violence and take things into their own hands, but then acting like you're not responsible for it. So taking away somebody's protection, especially in such a divisive political environment, is really a part and parcel of that.
We'll have to leave it right there. Yet again, we've been speaking with Josh McLaurin. He is a Georgia State Senator, federal litigation attorney, and Democratic strategist, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Truly appreciate your time, sir. Make it a great weekend.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. On the flip side of that break, Chip Lupo joins us from Walladub. We're talking some of the hardest working states. Guess where that is? Coming up next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, it's no secret, Americans are hard workers. I bet you all agree with that. Putting in an average of 1,805 hours per year. That according to the World Economic Forum. That's 470 hours per year more than Germans work, but 447 fewer than Colombians do. That leads me to this. Which states happen to work the hardest? Well, don't let me tell it. This guy will. Chip Lupo with WalletHub joining us yet again right here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, Chip. Happy Friday to you, my friend.
Happy Friday to you, guy. Good to be with you on the back end of the week for once.
Yeah, and guess what we're doing, Chip? We're working, and we're working hard.
Of course we are.
So I'm really curious about this study. It's truly interesting because I would say, first of all, Americans really do work hard. I was surprised to find out that we actually don't work as hard as Colombians do. But That's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. In this case, we're talking about the states that work the hardest, and you know what I'm going to focus on: DC, Maryland, and good old Virginia.
Right, Guy. Now, this study surveyed the 50 states, so we're gonna it's not gonna include Washington D.C. proper. But what you'll find though is that Virginia and Maryland both rank in the top 10, and a lot of that has to do with its proximity to D.C., where a lot of the jobs are. Virginia 6th overall, Maryland 9th. So a lot of similarities between the two, Guy, because they both have a pretty low share of households where no adults work. The state unemployment rates are pretty high. Now, of course, they both get dinged, though, for the average commute time. So those are both pretty high in both states. But for the two states that are in rank in the top 10, that's a pretty remarkable achievement.
Hey, Chip, I'm looking at this study, and one of the things that you all looked at happens to be indirect work. And I'm hoping you can elaborate on just that.
Yeah, indirect work focuses on things such as, for example, those are like leisure time, things like that. Things that are not directly related to your job, like number of hours worked, average salaries. These are sort of the non-tangible factors that come into play. Primarily, again, things like leisure time, time away from work, those types of things. But we found also in that respect that both Maryland and Virginia, they rank fairly low in the average leisure time spent per day. So might be a little time for, and with Labor Day weekend coming up, might be a time to kind of readjust and strive for a little better work-life balance there.
Yeah, we should also make mention that number 1 goes to the state of North Dakota, number 2 Alaska, and South Dakota takes the number 3 spot. Chip, I want to move on to best and worst states for teen drivers because, well, quite honestly, it's that time of the year again. What time am I making reference to? Time for the kiddos to go back to school. And I remember during this time of the year, junior year, I was driving and actually made a lot of mistakes. So I'm glad I'm still here, my friend. But obtaining a driver's license is often seen as a milestone in American culture, a symbol of, let's say, independence and growing up. But you got to do so responsibly. And so yet again, we are now focusing on the best and worst states for teen drivers. Do tell.
Now, it's interesting because while getting a driver's license is a milestone achievement, if you're a parent of a teen, adding them to your insurance policy is not a milestone. In fact, it's one that you would dread because what we found, now, first of all, this is good news for Maryland, 11th overall out of 50 states, pretty solid. Virginia, 32nd out of 50.
Wow.
And they got hit hard in the dimension known as economic environment. Now, I just mentioned a second ago, adding your teen to your insurance policy. If you're a parent in the state of Virginia, listen up. Your premium is going to go up 132%. That's second to last highest in the nation.
Wow.
Now, that's just for adding them, Guy. Imagine, like you said, you made some mistakes, in your teen years driving. So imagine how much that's going to go up if there's an accident or if there's a traffic violation or something even more dreadful like a DUI. So parents, it's very important to instill those good driving habits in your children early, especially if you're going to add them to insurance. So it will also be a good idea to keep your own driving records clean and keep those premiums low.
Hey, Chip, we've all heard that saying, and because I hail from the amazing state of Virginia. Virginia is for lovers, but apparently it's not for teen drivers. I can tell you that. It's expensive for parents.
A couple other things, Guy, that I found interesting is that both states ranked very high in average car cost repairs. Now, you don't tend to factor that into teen driving per se, but when it comes to car repairs, if you're traditionally paying a lot for car, those are things that you might tend to put off until it's too late. So it's always a good idea to get your car serviced regularly, and if there's something not right with it, get it checked out. And of course, average gas prices are a little above average in both states.
Chip, I got about 30 seconds left, and with that, the folks want to know what happens to be the best state for teen drivers.
The best state for teen drivers is New York, primarily because you would think, given the amount of traffic in and out of New York City, but again, it's a huge state, and there's areas of state where the drivers are responsible. What they do have in place a number of laws, such as your driving while distracted laws, very tough DUI laws, and they do penalize you pretty severely if you break those driving laws. insurance and otherwise.
Well, in this case, rules apparently make it a lot cheaper for parents with regard to insurance for kids that happen to be teen drivers. So you have to definitely keep that in mind. Chip, I got to run. Always good to see you. Chip Lupo with Wallet Hub joining us right here on the Live Zone. Make it a great long weekend, Chip.
Same to you, Guy. We'll talk soon.
You bet. All right, folks, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. How exciting is this? Soon and very soon, you'll be able to enjoy special coverage of the 2025 Maryland Cycling Classic, where speed meets scenery in a celebration of cycling excellence. Now, the event will bring world-class cyclists from 30 countries to Baltimore, including Tour de France riders, Olympians in the historic debut of the Benin national team. That's the first African female national team to compete in a major U.S. pro race. Oh, by the way, did I mention the Maryland Public Television will provide exclusive live regional coverage of the 2025 Maryland Cycling Classic? Joining us to discuss this and so much more is MPT's Managing Director of Content, Troy Mosley, right here on the Live Zone. Troy, good to see you, my friend, and welcome to the show.
Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. So happy to be here with you.
I got to tell you, I'm happy for you to be here as well. This is really exciting. This is just so cool, especially knowing that, wow, 30 countries are coming right here to the D.C. area. Okay, let's just be real. Up the road to Baltimore to take part in this monumental affair. And you guys and gals get to cover it all. How cool is that?
It's amazing. You know, it's a really intense race. This year, you know, the race organizers have added a women's race, which we're super excited about. It's kind of that'll kick off today at about 8:30. So we'll do our MPT Sports Desk at 8 o'clock. We'll lead into to the kickoff of the women's race, which, you know, as you mentioned in your open, I mean, we'll have, you know, national champions from right here in the U.S. We'll have Paris Olympic silver medalist Brianna Botha. We'll have, you know, Canadian national champion Allison Jackson. You know, some veterans from right here in America. The 2025 Tour de Bloom and national U.S. national champion Lawrence Stevens out of Mesquite, Texas. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, we've got, you know, a true, you know, sort of who's who of cyclists in this race, and they're super excited about it. Yeah. This is we've covered this for 3 years. We skipped last year. Last year we did not. The race did not happen last year, but it's coming back with the greater fervor with the addition of this women's race, and we're super excited about it. super excited about it.
Yeah, a lot of folks are talking about this, Troy. So look, I'm sitting right here and I'm looking into this camera, and it's hard enough to do just that. How in the heck are you going to cover this race with all of those cyclists?
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, there's about 28 turns in this race. There's a 900-meter steeple climb at the northernmost, part of the course. There's the king and queen of the mountain point, and a unique to this race, a 550-meter cobblestone sector. We got helicopters and chase bikes. I mean, it's a full-on Tour de France experience happening right here in the state of Maryland.
Yeah. And you all do it also well. I would say with regard to making the experience more tangible, more real, as if I happen to be right there, no one does it better than what you all do.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. It's a Herculean effort. All sort of major events in this way, particularly major sporting events. But the race team does a tremendous job of working with the city of Baltimore, working with the state of Maryland to block off streets to sort of create a safe race path. This year it'll start in the Harbor Point district around the waterfront and finish on East Pratt Street, right in the middle of the inner harbor. The mayor expects over 100,000 people, to be able to sort of see this. Like I said, we're excited as a statewide broadcaster. I mean, we get to put this every corner of the state, from Hagerstown to down to St. Mary's County. I mean, we want everyone to be able to see, what's happening here in Baltimore on Saturday morning. It's an international event, and one of the few in North America, one of the few left here in North America. There's next year there'll be the race in across Canada, but we're it, Maryland. We're it right now, and it's super exciting to be a part of, and all these Olympic riders and super fast cyclists. I mean, it's amazing to watch them. There'll be the women's race is about 71 miles around. It's about 4 laps, about 71 miles.
Wow.
The men's race is 107 miles. So I mean, it's a long race day, and they knock this out in roughly 3 to 4 hours. So
that is amazing.
3 to 4 hours for each race. So from 8 a.m. to about almost 5 p.m. to just after 4:30, we'll be in full swing with all of the race coverage, bringing it all to you live.
Yeah, and Troy, here I am thinking that I'm the man on my Peloton. Definitely not the case.
Well, you probably get to ride some of the models that these riders actually ride on your Peloton, and it's super exciting to really be a part of it and to sort of talk with these riders and understand the sacrifices that they've made as athletes just to become the top athletes in the world, and to travel and compete on a circuit year round. But especially our native our riders who are native to the U.S., they enjoy being able to ride here at home sometimes, so that their friends and family can sort of see what they do. We've even got a couple of riders who from the Maryland area who will be participating next year. We had a couple years ago, not any this year, but one of the major riders that we're looking forward to here in Maryland did sustain a little bit of an injury. But it's high level competition, and these bikes are going really, really fast, and it's going to be probably a fairly warm day. And we're excited to have them here all in our city.
Well, we're excited for you to share it with us right here on the Live Zone. Yet again, we have been speaking with Troy Mosley. He is MPT's Managing Director of Content, and yet again kind enough to hang out with us right here on the LZ. The 2025 Maryland Cycling Classic gets underway again when, Troy?
Saturday, September 6th. Our MPT Sports Desk on broadcast will kick off at 8 a.m. The women's race kicks off at 8:30, 8:35. We'll go until about 11:40-ish. The men's race will start around 12:30 and be done at potentially 4:30. We'll wrap up with a post show from the Maryland MPT Sports Desk, which will be an awards presentation. We'll see the winners, and then we'll toss to the premiere of our 45th anniversary of Motor Week. Will premiere right after we close the cycling classic at 5:30.
Good stuff. As they say, get your popcorn ready. This is definitely must-see TV. Troy, truly appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much, Guy. I really appreciate everything you guys do over there.
You bet. All right, folks. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Let's have some fun, shall we? It all started with me with an email from Makia. You see her on Good Day DC, one of my colleagues right here at Fox 5. She said, oh my gosh, Guy, you got to hear about this. And I said, hear about what? In this case, she was making reference to the Afro Plus Festival. It lands right here in the nation's capital this weekend, Sunday, August 31st to be exact, at RFK Festival grounds. Experience a full day of Afrobeats, dancehall, R&B, and so much more. Yes, it's a celebration of global black music and culture. Joining us to tell us all about it is the actual founder, Michael Ewasenya, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Michael, I've been practicing that last name for about 5 minutes now. Did I get it right?
You were close. I give you 95%.
All right.
Well, it's just Awo, not Awo.
Okay, I stand corrected, sir.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is just awesome. As you heard me make mention, Makia shot me an email, said, Guy, I really think you should talk about this. And then I got a chance to look at the lineup. Oh my gosh, this is just going to be so much fun. First and foremost, how did it come to be, and what's the overall expectation, if you will, with regards to folks that are going to show up?
So the expectation is to unite Black culture. You have Caribbeans, you have hip hop lovers, you have R&B lovers, you have Afrobeat lovers, you have Amapiano lovers. We are truly trying to unite Black culture in general, and speaking anything Black culture, there are other ethnicities that love Black culture as well and love celebrating it. So you have your Afro-Latinas, you have your dedicated Hispanics who are coming as well. You have our Caucasians and our white Americans who are coming as well. And we just love everybody. And here we are uniting all the cultures where the music doesn't really get represented the way we see in a mainstream line. But this festival is built for that and for everybody.
Michael, I could tell a story. I remember, God, I don't want to date myself. Maybe 10 years ago or so, I was on the red carpet in LA. I was covering the red carpet for the BET Awards. And I remember I went to a BET party. The president, Deborah Lee, I believe at the time, happened to be there. And she said, hey, this music called Afrobeats, it's going to be the new thing. We're going to focus on it. It's going to be all that and then some. And I remember thinking, well, I'm not really familiar. Wow, was
Mm,
she right? Michael, this thing is
yeah,
huge. Afrobeats has really taken the world over by storm.
absolutely. Right now we're expecting about 20,000 people for this weekend. We've upgraded our capacity. Special thanks to the mayor and special thanks to our president at Events DC for helping us put this all together, the whole Events DC family. But it is really big, and we have some of the biggest artists coming. We have Gunna, who has one of the hottest albums right now in the hip hop world. We have Kid, who some may argue is the biggest Afrobeats artist right now, and a lot of people in DC's favorite artist because they haven't seen him in a while. You have Ashake coming. You have Masha Montano, who's known as the King of Soca. You have Shensia, who's known as one of the queens of dance hall. We have a lot of local talent. Foggy Raw will be there. Hefe Shy Glizzy will be there. So it's pretty loaded. We have Wande Cole, we have DJ Tunes. It's pretty loaded. Uncle Waffles from South Africa, TXC from South Africa. So it is a loaded lineup, and it's taken over. It's just more than Afro beats. We have the King of Soca there, and then we have a Mapiano there. So it's like the best of 5, 6 different worlds right now.
Yeah, and with that, I want you to talk about what I will see once I walk onto the grounds of the RFK Festival grounds, that is. What am I going to be surrounded by? What am I going to hear? I know the music in particular, but I would assume a lot of folks laughing, giggling, and having an amazing time.
Yeah, absolutely. When you first come in, of course, you're going to see your entrance where we get our credentials and everything. But when you walk in, the goal is to celebrate all parts of culture. You're going to see a lot of local brand activations. We have over 60 merchant food vendors. So in total, we have like probably 80 to 100 different activations that you can either get food, you can socialize, you have brands, local brands. And we use a lot of DC talent on this. It's one of the biggest festivals where a lot of DC talent came from this. And what I mean is we hired within the nation everybody that we sourced for doing the lighting, the tinting, the staging. Everybody's from the DC region, even all the way down to security. So this is really a DC and with Maryland and Virginia as well, really a DMV thing. And we wanted to keep it that way. We didn't want to outsource as much as possible.
Yeah.
We try to keep it in-house and we try to get jobs for everybody here.
Well, that's why DC, Maryland, and Virginia, it's time for you to show up and show out. We're talking the upcoming Afro Plus Festival lands right here in the nation's capital this Sunday, August 31st at the RFK Festival grounds. Experience a full day of Afro beats, dancehall, R&B, and so much more. Yes, it's a celebration of global black music and culture. And you heard from the man himself. Michael, last name one more time?
Owl Sanya.
Okay, I'm still working on it. The founder of Afro Plus Festival, joining us right here on the
Thank you.
Live Zone. You're welcome, my friend. Congratulations. All right, guys, we'll
All
take
right.
a quick break. On the flip side of that break, hey, it's a Labor Day weekend, holiday weekend. That means many of you will perhaps watch something at home, stream something, if you will. Producer Chris joins us next with What to Watch right here on the Live Zone. Hey, we call it the Friday glitch. No
That's
biggie.
right. Yeah, trust me.
Producer Chris Nell joining us right here on the Live Zone for my favorite time of the week, What to Watch.
That was like a visual representation of what's happening in my brain right now.
Yours.
Like, so many false starts already today, and my shift just started. So, but it is Friday.
Yeah.
It is a long holiday weekend for a lot of people, and that means some new options for what to watch. I will just say, because I didn't get to do one last week, and my number one pick for this week is still one of the shows that I was going to recommend last week, but I'll get to that at the very end. First, though, I want to start off with something for all the fans of the reality trash out there, because that's kind of my speed. And we're talking about Love Island Season 7 reunion. Obviously, Love Island Season 7 was huge. Everybody was talking about it for months because there was like 30-something episodes. It was full of drama. And then there was even more drama when it ended, when people started breaking up and there were accusations, all kinds of drama. So, of course, they addressed it all on the reunion. You can catch it for yourself. It is streaming on Peacock now. And the only spoiler I will give you is that the winners... it looks like things didn't work out.
Oh, wow.
It looks like things didn't work out.
Why am I not surprised?
How can you not be shocked by this? Because a bunch of good-looking people who are... This show, I mean, I guess eventually I'll have to get into it, but so far I have resisted it because I'm so loyal to my Love is Blind. And I just saw, a friend of mine just messaged me that Love is Blind is now casting for a new season, and they're back in Texas, in Austin.
Wow.
So,
okay. Good to know.
Oh boy. All right, next up. This is a show that I am actually pretty excited for because I loved the first season so much. We are talking about a new spin-off / prequel to The Terminal List. It's called The Terminal List Dark Wolf. Now, if you saw the first season, this one follows Ben Edwards. He was the best friend of the main character in the first one. The main character in the first one was played by Chris Pratt. The best friend, Ben Edwards, was played by Taylor Kitsch, who you know from Friday Night Lights and a lot of other stuff. That's him right there in the hat. Now, Pratt's back for this new one as well, but he's a little bit more of an extended cameo, I would say. So the show follows the Navy SEAL as he gets involved in a risky CIA operation and kind of starts to find himself in a very morally gray area. If you watch the original series, the first season, and I use the first season kind of in the sense that this is now a different character story, but we see how this character, Ben Edwards, played by Taylor Kitsch, we see how his story ends. So I will just say that. If you are a fan of the show or of the books, you kind of know where his story's going. But he was such a popular character, they were like, you know what, we got to make a prequel, and we got to bring him back, and we need to... So that's all I'll say. No other spoilers, but, you know, just kind of...
I swear I saw Vin Diesel in it. A guy looked like Vin Diesel, did he not?
There
was some guy in there.
I'll do my research and get back to you on that one. I'm not 100% sure if he was, but Patrick Schwarzenegger was in the original one. He was a member of this SEAL team. I did like, if you like shows like Jack Ryan, these, you know, hard military guys, you know, running these covert operations, this show is right up your alley. So the first 3 episodes are out now on Prime Video. The rest will drop week to week. So I'm going to save it all. I'm going to wait for it all. I watched The Terminal List probably a year after it had originally come out on a recommendation. So I'll wait for all of it to be out, and then I'll go watch it. Okay. If you're a fan of shows like The Summer I Turned Pretty, which the finale, I believe, is next week, and I know there are a lot of fans out there waiting for it. And by that, I mean you like the incestuous dramas, because that's what that show is. You might like My Life with the Walter Boys. Season 2 out now on Netflix. This is another sort of like YA drama with a character who is like, you know, trying to decide between some siblings. So, you know, there's some parallels there. I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds of what this show is about because I honestly don't know. But I do know that if you like it, you'll like it. Okay. Let's put it that way. If this is the sort of thing that appeals to you, you'll probably like it. It's back for season 2. Okay. Now, Prime Video has a sci-fi comedy drama that is very under the radar, but critics actually love. It is called Upload. This is the 4th and final season, out now. This is basically tells the story of an alternate reality where after you die, you can upload your conscious to like a virtual afterlife.
Oh, wow.
But some drama happens when one of the main characters does that. You can check that one out on Prime Video as well.
Okay, playing devil's advocate. What if there's a short circuit?
Exactly.
You know,
There's
putting it out there.
There's a lot of what ifs. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Next up, this is a documentary, and if you've existed over the last 25 years, you've heard people refer to characters that they like or are obsessed with.
Yeah.
Even real people like Taylor Swift, for example. You know, she's got the Swifties and Beyonce has the Beehive. But if you take it a little beyond that, it's called stanning someone. You've heard that phrase before. It's based on the Eminem song. That's where that phrase came from. This new documentary is produced by Eminem, but it looks at kind of the evolution of fan culture and the exploration of fandom in and of itself, but it's kind of inspired by the song Stan that he wrote about an obsessed fan. It's a very famous music video with Devin Sawa. You may have seen it before, but you can check that out now. It's streaming on Paramount+.
Nice, okay.
This was kind of a critically acclaimed documentary when it first came out. Finally, if you're looking for a movie to watch and you like murder mysteries, kind of in the vein of Only Murders in the Building, there's a new movie on Netflix. It's called The Thursday Murder Club. It's based on the hit book series. It follows 4 lively retirees who team up to crack both old and new cases. So in this adaptation, these 4 retirees are played by superstars like Helen Mirren, Pierce Brosnan, and Ben Kingsley. So coming in with a little bit of star power for this one. It's streaming on Netflix now. So
those 2 actors, they're in that other show I like,
yes.
the Mob Show.
Correct. That is right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mobland, I believe. Guy Ritchie on Paramount+. Pierce Brosnan, you really can't go wrong with him. Former 007. Helen Mirren, obviously, from the James Bond series. She's in everything, too. So this is kind of just like, you know, perfect for my parents, let's put it that way. So Mom, if you're watching, this is what you guys can watch this weekend. Now, my pick for this weekend, there's 2 of them, but the show that I really can't wait to start watching is Peacemaker Season 2. This is the HBO Max. It's John Cena. He plays a character named Christopher Smith. That's just coincidental, I swear. But I didn't watch the first season until literally this past weekend.
Yeah.
It's based on, it's a spinoff of the Suicide Squad movie.
Okay.
So John Cena plays Chris Smith, who was Peacemaker. He's kind of like a reject superhero. He exists in the DC universe. This is created by James Gunn. He wrote and directed a lot of the episodes. Season 2 just dropped last week, so there's only a couple episodes out so far. But if you didn't watch the first season, I really enjoyed it.
Wow.
Shocking.
Okay.
I shockingly enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. It's kind of got that signature James Gunn combination of like great music with like good acting, comedy, drama. I know you didn't love Superman.
Yeah,
but
wasn't a fan.
But I think if you watch this one, you would be more into it because you don't really know the character in the same way.
All right.
So it's kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy-esque in that way. You don't know the character, but you can kind of get into it because it tells you everything you need to know. And it follows a great arc. And John Cena is very good at both the comedy and the drama.
Yeah, I'd like to
have
see that.
Give him credit.
Okay.
If you are a fan of superhero movies and you missed it in theaters, because not a lot of people, honestly, for a Marvel movie went and saw it, but Thunderbolts is now streaming.
Oh, that was good. I watched that, yeah.
Okay,
I
so
like that,
it's streaming on Disney Plus now, so you can check that one out if you want. Also follows a couple, for a lack of a better phrase, some reject superheroes, because they are not the A-team, if you will. However, if you know what that asterisk stands for, then you know they kind of redeem themselves.
Real quick, I need to make mention that I need to borrow all of your passwords to all of your streaming platforms.
You got it. Because I'm already sharing a lot of them, I'll be honest with you. So why not just add another person?
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things to do, because it's funny because you'll do this and then I'll go home and I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't have HBO Max. Or are they calling it just Max now? Or
no, it's back to HBO
okay,
Max.
it's like
Full
so
circle,
much going
baby.
on. So
Full circle. So those are your options for this weekend, for your long holiday weekend. In the meantime, let me know what you're watching. If there's something I missed, hit me up. Fox 5 producer Chris.
All right, absolutely love it. Producer Chris with all things what to watch.
7:30.
Yeah.
Do you like it or not? Join the Lion Zoom room. I always need help on Fridays, and going into a holiday weekend, I might need even more support. So check it out if you haven't before.
Okay. All right, guys. Producer Chris joining us right here on the Live Zone. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. So when it comes to weather on a 1 to 10 scale, I think I'm going to give it an 11. I'm probably not alone. So is this guy. Caesar joining us right here on the Live Zone for all things weather. Did I get it right?
I think you got it right. I think it's been an 11 over the past almost week, just about. It's been perfect.
Yeah.
Ever since Frederick, that weekend, this week, it's amazing, isn't it?
I absolutely love it. Yeah, just picture perfect. Can't ask for anything better.
Oh, no. Definitely could not. And you know what? It even holds on into this weekend. So the holiday weekend is looking fantastic for us. Let's dive right into it.
Let's do it.
Let's check out that weather menu for us, right? So what do you need to know? A few afternoon clouds for today. Not expecting much. Luckily, it's just going to be a few clouds again as that cold front moves through, but it helps reinforce that cooler air out there. So more fall-like air on the way, looking mild for this weekend, and going to have plenty of sunshine throughout the holiday weekend, including actual Labor Day itself. So if you have any outdoor plans, well, make sure to get outside and enjoy them. I know I will, especially as this cold front pushes through. And while we could see a few straggling showers, most of us are just expecting to see dry clouds, temperatures back in towards those 70s. And if you go a little further south, so into southern Maryland, parts of Virginia, we could see some 80s, but in general, very comfortable conditions will be persistent throughout our, basically our entire area. So for the district, we're expecting to see temperatures around 82 degrees. Again, because of that cold front, though, we could see it becoming a little bit on the breezy side with wind gusts up to about 22 miles an hour, but still very comfortable, manageable. You're not going to blow away the wind, I promise. It could feel a little brisk and refreshing, though, so just be alert for that. As we head into tonight, that's where things become a little bit cooler. We'll see that temperatures are slowly getting back into the 60s around the district. Again, the urban heat island effect, the concrete around us, keeps everything a little bit more insulated and warm. But if you go out towards the burbs, areas like Annapolis, Leonardtown, Fredericksburg, even Culpeper, in those low 50s, right? But then you see over towards the northwest, that's where temperatures get down towards those mid to low 40s. And we could even see some areas getting close to the 30s in in western Maryland. So again, still plenty of cool, brisk air. So really gives us that fall feeling. And this will continue to really just hang on with us, besides just not, of course, Wednesday, but into the rest of this week, weekend, you're going to see that it becomes much nicer. Look at those temperatures going in towards Saturday. Plenty of sunshine, but most of us will be capped right there in those mid 70s, upper 70s, if at max, seeing those temperatures rise up a bit more. But hey, we're going to take it because, again, you don't always get picture-perfect weather on a long weekend. So this pattern will hold through Labor Day weekend as we continue to see a lot of that cooler Canadian air just drawing in and helping us keep on a warm note instead of feeling really hot. But you'll notice as we go into later next week as well, that's when we have another cooling trough once again. So this pattern helps reinforce some of that cooler air, but it can also bring us some rain showers. And we'll see that in the 7-day forecast in just a second. But you know, all good things must come to an end, but not those temperatures just yet. Boom. Temperatures looking to be, if barely getting close to average, well below it, because you'll notice by the time we get towards Saturday and Sunday and even Monday, temperatures barely want to get above the low 80s. So it's going to be dry, not seeing much in the way of humidity, very, very sunny throughout a lot of our weekend, including, again, Labor Day, like I mentioned. Morning lows will be a bit on the chillier side, though, for the district, and even chillier throughout parts of the suburbs. So, again, if you are running on the cooler side, make sure to stay a little bit more on the layers because, again, if you, run cooler, you don't want to end up walking out being like, oh, 60's not bad, and then all of a sudden, oh, man, it should have brought that sweater. Then even into Tuesday, temperatures will continue to hang in those low 80s. But then, like I mentioned, all good things must come to an end. We've seen this nice little dry streak continue for us. Temperatures staying nicely comfortable. Temperatures-wise, they don't get too much worse. But as we go in towards Thursday, that's where we start to see the hints of some rain showers that could blend into late Wednesday night as well. So we are keeping an eye on that because, again, as we get in towards that, after it being so dry for a while, especially with August being one of the driest on record, I believe, we only had about 0.2 of an inch of rain. You get a lot of hard soil, so the first few rains could end up being a little bit more on the standing water, potential for flash flooding, but not anything crazy. So we'll just keep an eye on that, just make sure everything's all good. But hey, you know what? We definitely do need some rain because, again, the lawns start to get a little brown. You start to not wash away some of the pollen or dust, and you know, allergies start to bother you again. So again, we'll take the rain showers when we can, but if that right now, just enjoy all the sunshine. Temperatures in the 80s.
As we stated, picture perfect. By the way, perfect suit for this time of the year as well.
Right?
Buddy.
No, definitely. I feel like, we're both on a good note here in fashion. Look at that,
It's a feel-good Friday in so many ways. Caesar with all things weather right here on the Live Zone. Hey guys, if you haven't already done so, make sure you download the Fox local app and take that amazing forecast with you any and everywhere you go. Yet again, I want to say thank you so much for joining us right here on this Friday afternoon. Hey, high five going out to our guy, Chad Ricardo. Did an amazing job on that Commander special that aired right here on the Live Zone earlier today. If you haven't already got a chance to check it out, it's all things fans with regard to the Commanders. And Chad knocked it right out the park. So get a chance to check that out right here on the Fox local app. And yet again, thanks to the young lady that joined us as we remember 20 years following Hurricane Katrina. Well, on behalf of my producer, Remy, I'm Guy Lambert. We're back Tuesday, 12 noon. Tell a friend, bring a friend, and we'll do it all over again. Make it a great weekend. This is the Fox 5 Live Zone, The Take, up next, right here on Fox 5.